Evening. I'm Gerry. I am a recovering alcoholic by the grace of Jesus Christ, my higher power. One of the things I find out as being a believer is that being a believer doesn't make you immune to asthma, nor does it make you immune to alcoholism. I came to faith long before I came to these rooms. I grew up a strict Catholic, among a family of 9 boys. Yes, my mom had a baseball team. And we were devout Catholics, and we went after and tried to do all the things that we're supposed to do and believe the things that they taught us to do. And I took them to heart. And so when I would say things like the way we're supposed to live according to the way the Catholic traditions were, I became the weird kid in high school because sometimes the guys would say how macho they were and what they would do if they got a hold of their girlfriend, but not me. I never did that because that's the way I was brought up. I dated Patty. Patty was my first girlfriend. Yeah, she was a sweetheart. Many of you here know her. We dated for a couple of years and we broke up actually because my mom wanted us to. I was her first boyfriend and she was my first girlfriend. She wanted us to compare. And we did. We got back together right around the time I turned 21. And so yes, I teased Patty saying she drove me to drink. Now that's got more baloney than Eckridge. Oh yes, she was a sweetheart. She really was. But at that time, I frequented a hotel in Brentwood called the Point View Hotel. Oh yes, a lot of fun memories there. I made friends there. I was a friend with the bartender, the guy who owned the place. And I made friends there, and I used to go up there quite often and drink. Well, one time I left it get away from me. Started out with beer, then I went to wine, then I went to mixed drinks. And I think I tried to come back to beer. I did a swan dive off of the bar stool, just falling on the ground, puking my guts out, everything. I tried to get up and go to the men's room to try to cover it so it didn't look so bad. And I puked all in there too. I was a mess. And yeah, I got nicknamed Wild-Eyed Willie. I never lived on that name, believe me. If the Point View Hotel was still there, and if that bartender was still there, he'd still call me that to this day. Oh yeah. Patty and I were married a few years later, and oh yeah, Patty was a sweet wife. Oh yeah, she was a loving girl, and like I said, some of you people here know her, or knew her. Unfortunately, she's not here. Yes, we were married. We had, on wedding night, I had bought some, an Andre Cold Duck. Do you remember that? Any of you? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah, I liked that stuff back then, and Patty and I had that on her wedding night. Oh yeah, and when we went on our honeymoon, there's enough drinking there too. Oh yeah, we did that, and we had a good life. We really did. We both went to work. We both. Went along and progressed in our respective careers. I was a computer programmer and becoming a systems analyst. Patty was an office messenger for the Federal Reserve, but she didn't like that very much, so she left that to become a nurse aide. Yes. But the drinking continued, and it continued. And for the most part, if I was an alcoholic when I was working, I didn't know it. I didn't believe it. I believed I could control my drinking, and I never went to work drunk I never did any of that. Although there was one case that when I was working for Triangle News, I had some beer around lunchtime with whatever I had for lunch, I don't remember. And then my boss calls me and asks me to come down. So he teases me when I come down, oh, did you drink your lunch? Yeah, I did. And I said, well, I didn't know I was coming. And other than teasing, nothing happened. Oh, yeah. That continued, and it continued. Well, we moved up this area in 1988. We bought our house that we have now, that I have now. Oh, yeah, the drinking continued and continued. I got pulled over by Plum Borough a while ago. I don't remember when it was. But, oh yeah, Patty was with me, and they made me drive the car into the police station parking lot. And they did me the breathalyzer inside the police station. I blew a .074, just barely under the line. Well, they wouldn't let me drive home, so I had my pastor come get Patty and me. Well, him and his wife came, and I had pastor with me, and I put Patty with his wife, figuring the pastor was going to read me the riot act for being so drunk. He didn't. We Lutherans do believe in law and gospel, but he said to me, he says, the policeman already gave you the law. I'll give you the gospel. Okay? I blew a .074, like I said. A few years later, same thing happened in Clairton. Do you remember, any of you, that used to be called the House of 1,000 Beers? No, that's what it's called now. Used to be called Six and Say. Anyway, they used to sell these half a case, essentially. It was 9 16-ounce cans of Coors Light. Oh yeah. So here I go, I drink all 9 of them in the afternoon, and then I'm driving into my dad's place. We're going to go out to dinner with my dad. I don't know, no, my mom wasn't there. She had passed already. But yeah, I got pickled, nicely pickled, and I got into an accident. I hit the curb going around 35 mile an hour, screwed up the front end real bad. And the only reason I didn't get a DUI is because the Clairton Police Department just had one officer working. If he told me if he would have had another officer working, I would have got the DUI, but I didn't. But oh yeah, I was a mess that night. It was bad. But my drinking continued. Oh yeah. Again in 2014. 2014 was my first DUI. I had gone to Gunny's and had dinner with a few beers and brought 3 40s home. Patty was working at Eastier that night, and lo and behold, I finished the 3 40s while I was home waiting for her to be done with her shift. Then I went over to try to pick her up. That didn't work. Oh no. They pulled me over. They got me. I was lucky in a sense because my cousin Carolyn came up. I got her out of bed at probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and she actually came up to get me out of jail and take me home to Patty. And she said to Patty, don't be mad at him. It's not going to do you any good. Which she didn't, to her credit. But they had the ARD program, and I had to go to DUI safety school, or alcohol safety school. I think that's what they call it. But And then I went there, and I was still swimming in an Egyptian river. You know what that means, right? You're in denial. Okay? And whenever they said that things about drinking, especially health-wise, I remember, confronting the instructor, this lady, who was my PO at the time, and I said, if what you're saying about health is right, I should be dead. I'm still here. Nonetheless, still didn't learn back then from that. No, that was too much fun. Still more drinking. Don't do this to me. Okay. Still more drinking at home, mostly at home. But when we went out, I would have drinking, but I never really got in that much trouble. And I kind of got cocky with it. In 2021, oh yeah, 4 40-ounce Coors Lights. And then I decide, yeah, hon, let's go out and get something to eat. And so we went down to Shooting Bowl, and I had more. Yeah. That was a recipe for disaster. And it was. I'm coming in, I came across 380, started coming in 780 to come home, and I got pulled over by Upper Borough. And yeah, they got me. They took me down to the New Kent jail where I spent the night. I hit rock bottom that night. I swear the good Lord took me to the woodshed. And he does say that he like a good father, he disciplines his children. Did he ever? Yeah, he took me to the woodshed. At least that's what it felt like. But in the process, anyway, I dried out that night, and the officer took me home when I blew a 000 the next morning. Yeah. And so I come home, and again, my wife is a sweetheart. I mean, she was just, she couldn't have been more gracious. I mean, we crawled into bed and snuggled for a little while. Yeah. But the next day we had a meeting at Grace Wellness. We were getting counseling there. And so I told the therapist about what happened, that I'd gotten pulled over for a DUI. She told me about Celebrate Recovery. She sent me an email with a link to their about page and a contact person, which I watched that video a number of times. And when I was watching it, I felt like it would be feeling like you just got taken to the woodshed. Now your father's taking you out of the woodshed, trying to put his arm around you and say, now, do you understand what the heck I was trying to teach you? Yeah, I understood all right. Oh, yeah, my life was going to change. Because the very next night was August 27th, 2021. I went to my first meeting, and they do a thing there where when they do their tips, they surrender. There's a surrender tip. And I surrendered alcohol that night. And so that's my sobriety date, August 27th of 2021. And I'll be honest, I had to tell all my family and friends that I'm a recovering alcoholic. And believe me, I met with a lot of people who were very happy for me, enthusiastic. They were proud of me. In fact, my brother John even said, I'm proud of you. And coming from him, that was special. I remember telling my brother Ralph and his wife Ruth, and he said, yeah, we kind of thought you were. And I said, oh, really? He says, yeah, it seemed every time we saw you, you had a beer in your hand. Well, he was right. Oh, yeah. So, time goes on, and now I'm coming to meetings. After starting with Celebrate Recovery, my brother told me I should go to AA, and I started coming to these rooms. And I'm glad I did. I made friends here, contrary to what you said earlier, Art. But I made friends at Celebrate Recovery. I made friends here at the AA meetings. And yes, you all have been a lot of support for me. And I am tickled pink that I've made these friends, and I've been able to talk to you guys. I've been able to talk to the guys at CR the same way. Yes. And I'm pleased, I'm tickled pink. To this day, I have yet to relapse. Now, the beginning of 2022 or the end of 2021, right around that time, that's when Patty contracted dementia. Dementia is a wicked disease. It is a real problem. Because many times she would see people or hear people who weren't there. She would look at me and see a predatory lesbian. And I says, how many women do you know have a beard? I don't know of any. Okay? And I try to tell her that. I remember one time, we were in bed. And I wake up, she wakes up, she says, you're not my husband. What do you mean I'm not your husband? Sure, I'm your husband. You're not my husband. And so I got out of bed. I was kind of angry. I stomped on the steps. And when I got to the bottom of the steps, it came to me. Wait a minute, this isn't Patty, this is her dementia. Oh, okay. So I sat down and I said, well, she's coming to me. And so I stayed down there. About 20 minutes later, she comes down and she says, oh, there you are, hon. Yeah, I've been here I was here the whole time. Eyes kind of rolling, Yeah. That's what happens with dementia. It's wicked. And she got worse. She got, she started to have accidents. It was a mess. And she spent almost the first 8 months of this year in between Allegheny Valley Hospital, the psychiatric unit, and Mount Lebanon Rehab and Wellness. And one of the things they don't let you do in those places is be all that affectionate. And we were an affectionate couple. We were all over each other, for lack of a better term. But she died at Mount Lebanon on July 21st of this year. 2 days earlier, she had lost the ability to swallow. So that's when I brought in my brother Warren, I brought in Patty's sister Cindy, and her husband came with her. And, we talked. Yeah, we had planned that we would let her go. We weren't going to take any extreme measures to try to keep her alive because, we knew it was time. But, so the whole thing of her dying, I was there the whole day on July 21st from 10 o'clock in the morning till 4:45. And so she's still breathing. She was unresponsive at the time. She was still breathing. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to go to my meeting. And then I'll come and see her the next day. Well, I drove all the way out to Monroeville. I get a call about 20 minutes later after I got there. Patty stopped breathing. And so a couple of friends of mine drove my car and we went in, and And we found her, yeah, she was gone. Yeah. I looked at her. By the time I got there, her body had assumed room temperature. Yeah, she was gone. I kissed her twice on the forehead. Yeah. How I remained sober through that, through the funeral planning, the cremation, all of that. How I remained sober amazes me to this day. Because I had thought for sure back in late May, early June, I said, if this girl dies, I'm going to be reaching for the bottle. I'm gonna relapse. I thought for sure I would. But no, I didn't. When the people, after she died, when the people from the funeral home came to pick up her body, they took her out, and I went, my family, my brothers and all. I ended up calling my kid brother who was at my dad's because they had told me I had to stay with my dad. We don't want you to be alone. I called Raymond, my kid brother, and I said, hide the beer. Because I knew Dad had it. And what prompted me to do that? I suggest it's the good Lord, my higher power. Yep. And so how I stayed sober through all of that, even through the memorial, as some of you know, soli Deo gratias. That means by the grace of God alone. That's how I did it. Oh no. I was shook up, as you would expect. So anyway, now she's gone. She's up in heaven. And yes, I miss her terribly. I continue to attend meetings. CR and AA. And now I added one more grief share, which is for people to going through grief. And that's difficult. But I'm going through all of that. Going through the loneliness. Going through and yelling at God, asking the question, why? And dealing with all of those things. And yet, I'm still sober. Today I am 807 days sober. And I attribute that all to the Lord God. Not me. No. I'm grateful for people like yourself, for people from Celebrate Recovery, for people like Grief Share, for my family. I am grateful to God for all of them because I know I wouldn't have made it without them. Yes, they have been there to talk to me when I felt lonely, when I felt blue, when I cried. My recovery from alcohol and grief continues. Following step 11, I'm getting closer to God in the process by following step 11. And following the big book, I go to any length in order to recover from grief and from my addiction. And for the whole thing, the way it's all been working, I've got 3 words: soli Deo gratias, by the grace of God alone. Thank you.